Okay, so we're going to talk about the external ear first. It's the visible part of the ear. And it directs sound directly into the tympanic membrane. And cartilage keeps the acoustic canal open. Along with all that, it also has ceramin, or earwax, which helps. So it helps protect against foreign bodies and slows the growth of microorganisms. So onto the middle ear, it's an air-filled chamber. It connects to the pharynx, and it contains the auditory ossicles, which are the malleus, incus, and stapes. The inner ear contains sensory organs for hearing and equilibrium. Those sensory organs are the vestibular complex and the cochlear duct, and the vestibular complex is in charge of detecting changes. So most notably rotation, gravity, and acceleration. So movement of the stapes. Stapes provides pressure on hair cells in the cochlear. This allows the sensation of sound. The auditory tube, or Eustachian tube, it regulates pressure changes on the tympanic membrane and directly connects with the nasopharynx. So now that we've gone over a little bit how the ear works, we're going to transition into the two pathologies that we're covering, which is tympanic membrane perforation and otitis interna, which is a ear infection in the inner ear. So we're just going to slide on over, and we're going to make a flow chart. So most tympanic perforations or ruptures result from an infection. So you have an infection, it travels to the ear. The tympanic membrane becomes infected. So we all know when you have your infection, your body naturally tries to fight it off. So you have your T cells come in and attack and kill the infected cells. And then your macrophages will get rid of the dead cells. and this is the leading cause of a tympanic membrane perforation. Normally, the tympanic membrane will heal and correct itself, and it will go back to being stable. Now, when they don't heal and correct themselves, these neomembranes will start forming, and what that can cause is if they form deep enough, into the middle ear, the chance of developing I'm going to pronounce this wrong, cholesteatoma increases of developing. And a cholesteatoma is it's essentially just a non-cancerous skin growth that is a result of the continued ear infections. So if this happens consistently and keeps going, the membrane becomes perforated routinely, and the retractions just keep going in far enough, this will eventually result. So with the tympanic membrane ruptured, you now have an open path into the middle ear, making it more susceptible to infections. This results in an infection of the middle ear, which is called otitis media. Now it can either correct itself and heals, and then you don't have any an infection anymore. Or it can continue to grow and you can't fight off the infection, which then it can spread to the inner ear. And the inner ear becomes infected or known as otitis interna. There's two types of otitis interna. One is viral and the other bacterial, but they ultimately lead to the same thing. So viral will spread through the blood, so it spreads to the inner ear via blood or hematogenously. I pronounced that wrong too, I'm pretty sure. When the virus does spread to the inner ear, it attacks the vestibular ganglion, the vesicles, and the cochlear nerve, which then results into otitis interna. Now, with bacterial, the most common cause of bacterial is meningitis. The infection spreads to the inner ear via the internal auditory canal and the cochlear aqueduct. And then the bacteria infiltrates the membranous labyrinth. Resulting in the infection otitis interna. Now with the ear infected, we all know what happens if you can't fight off the infection. The person will eventually become septic. The vestibular complex and cochlear duct become inflamed, which leads to a few complications. Your ability to hear and also maintain balance is impaired. And the hearing loss can be permanent. The impaired balance is known as disequilibrium, which can produce nausea and vomiting. And with the vestibular cochlear duct or the vestibular complex and cochlear duct becoming inflamed, can also affect the facial nerve, which is cranial nerve 7. Which can produce some facial weakness.